So thank you and good morning. Thank you for taking the time to celebrate the achievements of our 5 incredible interns from Springfield Technical Community College and the STEM Starter Academy. My name is Jen Sherry, and I served as the mentor teacher from Springfield Public Schools, but more specifically from the High School of Science and Technology. I was super excited when Ron and Rita kind of approached me about collaborating on this project because the need for teachers in our STEM fields is growing. And this really gave me an opportunity to share and infuse my passion for teaching into a group of prospective teachers. So of course, this year presented some unique challenges. So the entire internship experience had to be held remotely, which worked well, I thought, given the circumstances. We started with a week of observations where the interns joined my biomedical science class and AP environmental science classes via Zoom. And the observations served as a way for the interns to get a feel for how remote learning and remote classrooms operate, as well as comparing and analyzing different engagement strategies and pedagogy. We also had a specific day for STEM classroom rotations, which allowed us to observe teachers in our finance, engineering, anatomy, and chemistry courses. Those observations then led to 2 micro-teach experiences where the interns first were given a lesson plan and a topic, and they had to plan and present the activator or lesson opener for that particular lesson. And then their second micro-teach, they actually prepared and presented a lesson of their own choosing. They were given a minimum time frame of 15 minutes and then creative reign over the topic, and they all knocked their lessons out of the park. I said minimum 15 minutes, but I think I didn't even need to give them that because they really, just dedicated themselves so fully to their topics and were so excited and inspirational for my students. So the topics were interesting, engaging, and it was exciting to see each of them grow as presenters from one micro-teach to the next. So here's our list of interns, and I think that it is awesome that we had all women to do this STEM because, sorry guys, but you dominate the STEM occupations. So yay, girl power. And at this point, I'm going to introduce them. So we have Emerson Alexander, Olivia Bragiel, Maureen Burke, Lily Dixon, and Danjati Rodriguez, who are all going to share their own experiences in the internship program. So I am going to go ahead and stop my share. And I would first love to welcome Emerson Alexander to share her experiences. So.
Thank you for the lovely introduction. I will be sharing my screen now. Presenter. There we go. Hi, I'm Emerson Alexander, and I'm a STEM mentor and tutor for the STEM Starter Academy at STCC. And I've tutored in subjects like biology, anatomy and phys, and some math, tech math classes. And before the internship began, I had some hopes, and those were to learn how to better support the students and build up my confidence when speaking to groups of people so I could be a more effective communicator. Wanted to better engage students so they didn't drift off into la la land while I was trying to talk to them. And I want to apply the skills learned in this internship to any occasion where I'm in a position to educate others, whether it's in or outside of the classroom. And I had some ideas of what we'd be doing, like shadowing and creating a lesson plan to teach the class. But it turned out to be a lot more than that and super fun. And I learned so much. The biggest thing was engaging students. We used Kahoot, we used Jamboard, which is an interactive whiteboard tool from Google. And in Zoom, I learned to use like the reaction emojis to gauge where students are at in their participation. so they didn't have to like talk if they were shy. And also applying the knowledge learned in the lesson to real life. Olivia did this with her presentation on the different drugs and their effects on the brain. She gave students resources to reach out to if they were struggling with substance abuse or if they knew someone who was, and that was great. And also during the STEM rotation, Ms. Goudreau suggested to use hands-on activities to go over study sessions for anatomy and phys, which applies to me for my tutoring sessions. And I learned how to introduce new topics with asking a broad question and then making it into more specific bite-sized pieces. Like for a lesson on nutrition, you'd ask, oh, who here likes to eat food? And then you'd say, what foods do you like to eat? And then why do you think that is? And you'd kind of go into a rabbit hole. And I learned to create a positive classroom environment. Ms. Cherry showed this in several different ways. I noticed that she gave out birthday cards and she shows enthusiasm. She has said, I love brainstorming, exactly like that. And then she also encourages students. She said to one after he figured out the solution to the problem, like the dots connected, she said, you did it all yourself, man. I'm just here to guide your thinking. And I thought that was great. And I learned the importance of flexibility and patience and how much time teachers put into creating lessons. It could be like a 40-minute lesson and like 3 hours easy would go into that. And humor is also super important. I love it when the teachers make jokes. Miss Cherry did this, like she jokes about not wanting students to ghost her and leave the Zoom early. And then she like checks for signs of life because if everyone's like not cameras on, no response, she wants to make sure that they're there. And I also learned about STEM teaching and how that's different from normal teaching. STEM teaching is more about mastering concepts and creating solutions and has a lot of applications in future industries. And we learned these 8 points for STEM teaching. I have examples for a few of them. The first one, asking questions and defining problems. In the first lesson that we sat in on for AP Environmental Science, I noticed that there were a lot of critical thinking, open-ended questions about renewable resources. And for the second one right here, developing and using models, Mr. Copen, he did the engineering. He used models to help us understand the different structures, such as frame, my sad looking cardboard bridge. And then we have the solid and mass structures, which is like bricks. I don't have any bricks, so rocks will have to do. And then hollow structures. So it was cool. He had us like grab something in front of us and then try and figure out what it was. This is what I grabbed. And what he grabbed was a stick of deodorant. And that was really funny. I got a laugh out of that. And then if we go on over, there's planning, carrying out investigation, analyzing and interpreting data, using math and computational thinking. Mr. V, the AP chemistry teacher, used a lot of math of like converting moles to grams and all of that good stuff for chemistry. And number 6, constructing explanations and designing solutions. Maureen did this in her lesson when she had students come up with different applications for nanobots, and they had some pretty cool stuff to say, really innovative thinking. And we have engaging in argument from evidence. Mr. Wren did this when he came into Ms. Cherry's class, and he had us talk about the benefits and risks of nuclear energy and whether or not it was worth it to have it. And then we also have obtaining, evaluating, and communicating information. Microteaching. I was a little worried about that. I didn't want to be self-conscious. Wanted to come up with fun and engaging activities because nobody likes to sit through a lecture. And I found that after doing my first microteach, it was very rewarding having the students interact with me throughout the lesson and then receiving encouraging reviews from my peers afterwards in our debrief sessions and evaluations. And that positive feedback also works for educators as much as like we have to give it to our students. And I feel like I grew in asking more open-ended questions. I didn't feel as nervous. And this is my example of an activator I did, which is an activity in the beginning of the lesson to engage students, whether it's like recalling on accessing prior knowledge or introducing a new topic. So I created this fun little mystery bacteria game. And based off of these characteristics, you had to guess which bacteria it was. And we did this together as a class. And it ended up being this one, so we could rule out the other ones. I thought it was really fun. And overall, I thought this was an amazing opportunity, and I definitely grew in my confidence. So I can now design activities for students I tutor. Just yesterday, I made a Kahoot about the different types of epithelium for my A&P students, and we had a blast doing it. I know my teaching style, and it's to fit in with the universal design for teaching. So I will use visuals with videos or like reading texts, maybe doing like hands-on or virtual activities for the students. And I also like to incorporate like some breathing exercises or like doing Tai Chi. And I know I should be more confident in my teaching abilities now. And I'm grateful for all the teachers and professors I've had. Actually, if I could go back to here, going back to the Tai Chi part, I just remembered this was an activity I used to help students understand like the benefits of Tai Chi, going over the history of medicine for the biomedical class. And then this is an example of a Jamboard. So the students could like put different Post-its on the sides after we learned stuff for the lesson. Sorry for that little derailing moment, but overall, it was great. I had a lot of fun, and I felt very supported by Jennifer Cherry and the rest of my internship crew. So thank you for this experience.
Great job. Thank you so much, Emerson. All right, next I would like to introduce Olivia Bragiel.
All right, hi everybody. Good afternoon. Well, is it afternoon? It's maybe kind of afternoon, kind of morning. All right, so I'm just gonna present this. Can everybody see my screen okay? All right, sounds good. My name is Olivia Bragiel, and this is my experience going through the STEM teaching internship. So I initially signed up for this opportunity for several reasons, but the biggest one is that I work for the STEM Start Academy at SDCC, along with Emerson, as a STEM tutor and mentor. So when the director of the STEM Start Academy reached out to me, Dr. Rena Ronder, and she let me know that there is an internship for the purpose of learning how to more effectively educate STEM subjects, I jumped on that opportunity. I thought it was a great opportunity to help me be able to take what I had in my head as my knowledge and translate that effectively to meet students halfway and help them learn that way. This program definitely did not disappoint. Not only did I build a lot of confidence in my ability to instruct a class, more so even talk in front of a class, first of all, but it allowed me the chance to do so under the guidance of a wonderful and very well-rounded teacher and mentor, Ms. Cherry. And I also learned specific skills such as asking students open-ended questions and using games and trivia to help students engage in what they are learning and absorb the information that they are being presented with more readily. So in the beginning, what were my expectations? I anticipated that the interns would basically be shadowing a teacher, going from class to class and observing how she interacted with the students and how she taught the students the relatively different STEM subjects. And we definitely did that. The first week, the observations that we did were crucial to our success as budding STEM teachers. This was the first time I attended a class, not for the purpose of learning a typical lesson, like you would in high school, attending a class and trying to learn what the teacher was teaching you, but this time coming at it from a third-party situation more so, and seeing how the interaction was between the students and the teacher, and how she used her abilities to effectively instill certain academic information in the student's mind. So we spent 1 week observing our mentors' classes, as well as the classes of several different teachers in SciTech, and we were exposed to many different STEM subjects, including biomedical science, intro to finance, engineering, AP chemistry, AP environmental science, and anatomy and physiology. The observations were so the observations, they were integral to our success, but we were soon challenged with the task of creating our own activator and then eventually creating our own lesson. So we were able to choose our own topic, and although it was definitely a bit nerve-wracking, I felt that we were very well prepared. So even though the usual pre-presentation jitters and nerves were present, I had safety net of knowing that we had all the tools to produce an incredibly effective lesson. Throughout the internship, we learned effective techniques for planning lessons, and this includes employing the universal design for learning, as was previously mentioned by Emerson, and creatively capturing the interest of students using tools such as Kahoot, asking open-ended questions to gauge the students' previous knowledge of the subject. I was also incredibly impressed with Ms. Cherry's ability to encourage students even when they answered a question incorrectly. She never discouraged them or made them feel like they were wrong in any way. Instead, she reassured them that their answer was a good guess and that this is why this answer is correct instead of the answer that they suggested. But she never shut the student down, which I thought was really a good way to go, because you don't want to like go into it with this sort of like shutting down a student so that they don't want to answer questions in the future because they feel unheard. And of course, the situation with online learning, this internship was a slightly different experiences than it could have, but it kind of made it daunting to not be able to see the students' reactions or gauge how they were taking the lesson, if they were of course, it helped with the different activators that we had, but it was different. It would have been a lot different if it was in person too, but of course, we're working with what we can. So, did it go through? Okay. So in the end, I found that even though I once thought of teaching as incredibly intimidating and something that is way out of my level of expertise, this internship has proven to me that armed with the correct steps and methodology, teaching effectively and teaching and effectively sharing knowledge is something that is definitely well within my reach. Oh, wait. I kind of went ahead. Sorry about that. So I'm incredibly appreciative of the fact that Ms. Cherry allowed us to pick our own methods of creating a microteach and giving us full lesson topic creativity. So we were able to choose within the science field, of course, but a topic that we were passionate and interested in researching. And so my topic was the effects of drugs on the brain. Initially, I had chosen how hormones affect the way we act and how hormones affect the brains and like the way that translates into our actions. But then it was actually kind of when we were having our debrief and we were suggesting our topics, Ms. Cherry immediately gave me a great resource called Mouse Party, which you can see a little picture here. And this is an interactive game that shows how different substances affect the brain. So you go through all these different mice. I believe this one's the LSD one, this one's cocaine, then this one's alcohol. So, and then you can control this hand right here and you take one of these mice and you put them in the chair and it immediately takes it to a sort of an MRI where you can see how the up close through graphics, so it's all graphics and it's animated, and there's also explanations of each process and how different substances do affect the mice's brain. So I thought that was a very interesting one, and I was very happy to use it, and the students received it pretty well. And finally, I would just like to thank Ms. Jennifer Cherry for taking us all under her wing, for being incredibly friendly and supportive and sharing her remarkable teaching abilities and methods with us. It was so wonderful working with you, and as well as all the other interns who did a great job and were incredibly hardworking and motivational to me, as well as Dr. Rina Rander in the Department of Higher Education for giving me the opportunity to master a new skill. This has been a phenomenal, immersive opportunity, and I'm so grateful for it. Thank you, everybody, so much. Thank you.
Great job.
Thank you. It has been a pleasure.
Likewise. I would next like to welcome Maureen Burke.
All right. Hi, everybody. I'm gonna share my screen. Where am I going? Okay. Can everyone see this? Yep. All right. And we're off. Okay, so I'm Maureen Burke. I signed up for this internship because I just wanted to take advantage of every opportunity that I could. I'm enrolled in the computer IT security program at STIC, and I have so many options as to what direction I want my career to take. So I figured any possible thing that was going to come my way, I was going to just try and get this internship, and and especially in STEM. I knew that I would just be learning a lot from the other interns and the teacher that was going to graciously offer their time and effort to help us. So I knew that we were, going to observe classes. I honestly went into it with really no expectations. I just figured I'd apply and see what happened, and then just go from there. I didn't know what to expect other than it was going to be remote and I was going to go back to high school. It's been a long time. I just thought that we'd be able to sit in on classes, observe and participate, and was really looking forward to and excited for this experience. So, oops, what is happening? Here we go. Sorry. Oh, okay. All right, so this was the inaugural program, and I was chosen alongside 4 other interns. You've met 2, Emerson and Olivia, and Lily and Janjari were also included. And I just figured I could learn a lot from the other interns. We were all in STEM, and I was just excited about seeing what they had to offer. I'm sorry, I don't know why this keeps skipping. Okay, now we're back. So we were told to follow the 8 techniques that you see on the screen that are part of the Massachusetts curriculum. And we were told specifically to just keep an eye out for any of them and how they would be taught to the students, just anything that we noticed about these. And I can't think of one class that didn't go by in which all 8 of these were not utilized. I mean, it was just like asking the open-ended questions, having discussions. Every single one of these was hit at every time. So it was really amazing just to see how easily it came to Jen and to some of the other interns. That, I mean, I was really in awe by you know, the people that I was around, which was good because you want to surround yourself with people that are better than you are. So it makes you better. And I learned about the VARC model. That's just visual, auditory, read, write, and kinesthetic learning methods. And it's just the different ways that students learn. And I myself follow like a few of these. I mean, I'm deaf in one ear, so auditory is important, but visual is also important because I have a disability. So, you know, I was really interested to see how that was going to be conveyed during a remote learning session with students of varying abilities. And there was a hearing impaired student in one of the classes, and I knew right away because Ms. Cherry had her clear mask and we had the subtitles in the bottom of the screen, and I just thought, kind of blew me away because stuff like that wasn't available when I was in high school, and I just thought it was really amazing. So we had a full, this was an example of our full day of school. And in addition to Ms. Cherry's classes that we observed, we were able to sit on these four. I didn't take chemistry, AP chemistry in high school, so I was able to convert seconds to hours. So I was really excited about that. I couldn't get the moles or the joules or any of that, but you know, I could follow the the math. So kudos to Mr. V. Now, our first task was to make an activator. And I used the Kahoot, which Emerson had referred to. It's online trivia. It was a lot of fun. And anyone that has the code can play the game. I was thinking of throwing one in and having a little trivia for everyone here, but I figured it might take too long, sorry. And I had a lot of fun making the Kahoot, and based on the feedback that I got from the students and my other interns, it seemed like it went really well. Dunjari used the Jamboard, which was the interactive whiteboard, and that was really cool. She did a word search, and then the words that were left over were going to be the topic that we were going to learn that day, which was bacteria. That was really interesting. So the mini teach, I decided that my mini teach was going to be about nanobots and the future. So my title specifically was using nanobots to search out and destroy cancer cells within the body. So this was after, I think their grades had closed. So I kind of wanted something more informal and just to have a discussion with the students and see, you know, how they thought we could probably make this work, how we'd introduce the nanobots into the body, how, you know, we talked about GPS, and some of the students had some amazing and insightful ideas. I was kind of not shocked, but it was just so like, oh, I didn't think of that. That was such a good idea to put it in an inhaler, you know. It was really, really amazing. And then Dunjari spoke about strokes, which I think everyone has people that are older than them, like your grandparent. I mean, my grandmother had a stroke. So I felt like that was a timely thing to talk about with the kids. And I told her after her presentation was over that I just got this feeling that her talking about it was going to save someone's life, just because they would remember her saying fast, think fast. And Lily talked about fruits and vegetables and how 42% of the fruits that are imported from another country come from Mexico, that provide the United States with their fruits, and that Massachusetts produces about a quarter of the cranberries for the whole country. So later when I have my vodka cranberry, I'm gonna thank the guys at the bog. Summer vacation. So we were really lucky. We had daily debrief meetings. It was pretty incredible chance to have great, insightful feedback from Ms. Cherry and from my fellow interns. And we were able to ask Ms. Cherry questions about our activator, about the micro teach. She was totally available at all times for us. I mean, it was really just amazing, all the things that she had going on, and then, you know, to volunteer to do this for 5 people. I mean, it was really just, I can't thank you enough. And it was just amazing. I felt like I was in really capable hands, and I wasn't uneasy about getting the feedback. I can take the constructive criticism, but even it wasn't really even negative. It was just an overall wonderful experience. And I felt comfortable that if I got something wrong, that I wouldn't, you know, look as, well, maybe as stupid as I do now. So yeah, I mean, I came into this internship really with a completely open mind. I didn't know what to expect. I just kind of said, I'm gonna jump in, go with it. And I mean, I am leaving with renowned confidence in myself. And I really feel like I have a complete career avenue that's opened up to me, because I don't know that prior to this, I would have said, yeah, I'd be a teacher. I just feel like I really have so many options now, because it's like my eyes have been opened to this. It's really fantastic. You know, I have confidence that I can teach a class and keep teenagers interested in the topic for the entire class. You know, I really, really enjoyed it. And it's funny because, you know, I was so excited to go back to school. Who knew? So I just want to thank Dr. Rendier for organizing this. I would like to thank Olivia, Emerson, Dunjari, and Lily for your support and your assistance. Any questions I had, everyone, were so great, and I'm so thankful. And I really want to thank Ms. Cherry. You're just an amazing educator, and you're making such a difference. And I don't want to get emotional, but I feel like my life would have been totally different if I had had you as a teacher in high school. So thank you. And I hope everyone has a great weekend, and give yourselves a round of applause. I did not really want to cry. Unbelievable. Ugh, but you, Jen, you were so amazing. Thank you. I'm going to stop sharing my screen.
Thank you so much. Now we're all crying. So I'm just going to introduce Lily. It's the last day of school. I'm overly emotional anyway.
Sorry.
All right. So next up, we have Lily Dixon.
Hello, everyone. Sharing my screen now. My name is Lily Dixon, and I'm here to share my pre-teaching internship experience with you all. So let's just jump right into it. Can you see everything? I tried to zoom, make sure it's all zoomed, but I can't have all the faces and everything. I'm so sorry. Okay, here we go. So I was asked what I hope to gain from this program and what I actually gained from this program. So I expected to gain some personal development skills and being able to hone my communication skills. And I was able to do that by actually being able to take notes and being able to communicate these notes effectively with not just the students, but the other ladies in the cohort. Being able to experience this with other individuals who are interested in teaching, as well as expanding their own knowledge base to then further communicate that knowledge, was something that I was hoping to gain from this program, and I did get as well. Obviously, this is a great resume builder opportunity to show actual accumulated experience through lesson planning and teaching. And I just wanted to develop my own knowledge base for being able to plan ahead for class materials and writing lesson plans. I gained all of this from the program and more. So I was able to develop my flexibility and presence of mind to be able to adequately adapt to classroom situations. So specifically, I had an example about this shop for vegetables. It's called Bumpy's and it's around East Long Meadow. And I didn't know the exact address, so I just Googled it really quickly in front of the class and gave them the address and all those different resources. So I thought that was really nice. Um, Being able to react effectively to the group of students that I'm working with, because each class, each group of students is different. You have to be able to gauge the general morale of the class and be able to do checks for group understanding to make sure that nobody is left behind or there aren't any like leftover questions or topics that are like misunderstood. You want to make sure that there's really concise information being given to the students so that there's that well-rounded understanding. Um, and with this experience as well, I was able to gain tangible experience in the virtual classroom space. As we all know, we've been affected by the events of the world and education has had to change because of that. So thanks to Miss Sherry's classroom and the rest of the lovely teachers in this program, I was able to explore the dynamics of a hybrid classroom, as well as thinking of like the traditional methods that we use in a physical classroom versus what actually works and doesn't work in the virtual space. And with that, that actually leads into balancing time constraints and how my time should be spent. And then in finding those events that I need to spend time on, what I should expect to be done within those time constraints as well. And I found that all of these things were extremely useful and transferable not only into STEM fields, but the rest of just operating in society. So some general and STEM focused teaching strategies. I have the general strategies in pink and the STEM focused strategies in blue here. So some general strategies that I found worked for the classroom were allowing for more conversation and more open-ended questions to develop critical thinking and excuse me, real world attachments. Let me get some water here. So I wanted to develop my lessons to make sure that it wasn't just inundating the students with information that wasn't necessarily grounded in the real world. Because I know when I was in school, I would ask myself, when am I going to use this? What am I going to do with this information? Like, how is this pertinent to my life right now? So I wanted to really deeply make sure that those had those grounded real world attachments for the students. Another thing that works in general for any type of classroom environment or learning environment is having interactive tools to keep students engaged. So previously, Olivia had mentioned the Mouse Party website, and that's a pretty interesting resource as well. Or having the Zen meditation strategies, as Emerson had mentioned too. Those were some pretty interesting and engaging things that can be used in any type of situation. More STEM focused teaching strategies were specifically, there were many concepts from other classes where I noticed Miss Cherry and the other professors that we had for the observation classes had to make sure that there was a base understanding of certain concepts like mathematics and English and critical thinking skills in order to move on to the more advanced concepts that STEM uses, since this is a multiple discipline type field. And then on top of that as well, related is deciding whether some lessons should have collaborations with other professors that might have more expertise in that area. Meaning, if they teach a certain lesson that has a more specific unit or like a specific resource that I haven't seen yet or I haven't experimented with, I could probably have somebody else who's more experienced with that, who's more knowledgeable, teach the class and also teach me as well. So then that way I'm able to use those resources and can pass it on to the next person. My micro teaching experiences. So as mentioned before, we were given the opportunity to observe and then create a class activator that was about 15 minutes, but we all went over that. And an actual class lesson. So for the activator, I based it off of their lesson on bacteria, and I had a presentation on bacteria and produce, and I informed these students about where these bacterias on produce can come from, and the various conditions for survivability with those bacterias. But what I found was a thing that made it easier to communicate with the students was creating a comfortable learning environment. And that was the key to my success in both of these teaching experiences. Because Jamboard has that anonymity to it, where people can just create sticky notes and put their notes and everything. Nobody knows who wrote it. Nobody has to have that stigma of, oh, that's a wild wrong answer, or, oh, this was correct. They're always getting the right answers. Like, everybody can feel free to contribute as much as they feel they're comfortable with. And that was part of something that I feel like was really successful for both of these lessons. The class lesson, I focused again on bacteria, but I integrated it with shipping and the different things that can come from different countries, and how certain plants and livestock might be affected by the different disease and bacteria in different countries and might not have resistance to it, and how that affects our shipping costs and our general nutrition and overall health. One thing that I saw that I thought was really important in these micro teaching experiences and observations, some things would work better for certain professors than other professors. And I'm thinking of myself personally, like um, before it was mentioned about using humor in certain ways. I personally don't think I'm all that funny a lot, because I'm usually pretty stoic and like serious. So sometimes jokes pass over my head, but when I make jokes, people usually think I'm serious. So it kind of doesn't work out that well. But I found other methods that would work for me, that don't necessarily have to go around humor or other things like that, that would still make the classroom experience fun and relatable for students, as well as absorbing that actual knowledge that I'm trying to give them. And finally, I have some self-reflection and some personal observations. Um, I am already a tutor at STCC through the TRIO program, but with that program, I tutor individuals and not in a classroom setting. So this was extremely valuable for like teaching me the differences between those. Um, and I noticed that this had aligned with my personal goals more than I thought, because I know that I'm always going to be a learner for life. I'm always consumed with trying to find new information, find new knowledge, and then pass that on to the people around me, because I think that it's really interesting. Like, there's always a ton to learn about. But teaching has become an integral part of my life, because it takes a certain amount of skill and proficiency to learn something and then know it well enough to be able to teach. And that is why I commend all of our professors and everything that they do every day to help pass that knowledge on, to communicate, to educate, and just bring about a society where it's better. Just who doesn't want to be educated? um I had a quote unquote groundbreaking conversation with Miss Cherry about flexibility with coursework. So there was a little bit of a miscommunication, and I created big lesson plan before I did the activator, and I thought I was gonna have to start over. I was panicking, all this stuff. And Miss Cherry sat down with me. She explained that all my feelings were valid and it's okay to be frustrated and everything. And just hearing that, like, instilled the confidence in me, like, just that level of humanity, that moment just really synchronized with me in a way. And like, I'm not gonna forget that. Like, it might have seemed like a really simple base moment type thing, but it was very important to me, and I want to be able to pass on that feeling of just like, you did that work, it's not in vain. We can rework this, we can shop this, we can do this, like, it's okay. We'll communicate better next time. Like, that's something I want to be able to share as well. And with that also relates to developing my lessons to have the most impact and tangibility and giving specific resources. And I know I touched on that before, like 2 slides ago, but I just want to like really push that in, that I want these lessons, these things that I put out into the world, I don't want them to just be another classroom and that you're sitting through just waiting to get to the end of the school day. I want these things to have actual impact on the students and make them memorable and actually give way to, oh, I'm interested in this field, or oh, I'm interested in such and such. Let me reach out to my professor and see if they can connect me with this, that, and the third. And finally, I observed some interesting dynamics within myself. Making these lessons, in trying to give that impact and tangibility, I went back to myself when I was in grade school or middle school or high school. And I thought about what kind of ways would a teacher be able to approach me that I would be the most willing, the most receptive to these kind of lessons. And that's how I went about it personally, to have those lessons like stick. And that's about it. I hope I explained it well enough. This was a really amazing experience and really like monumental to my development here. And I know that I mentioned it a little bit before that I already teach for Trio, but this has really solidified my thought about like actually becoming a professional teacher in some sort, not just being a tutor or some kind of thing like that, like being an educator, because I know that education is like extremely important. So I want to pass that on. Thanks for listening.
Well done, Lily. Thank you so much. Love your insights. I will also never forget our groundbreaking conversation.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. And our final presenter today is Danjati Rodriguez. So Danjati, I'm going to pass it to you.
Hello, my name is Danjari Rodriguez, and I'm an electrical engineering technology student. 2 of my professors are actually here, Professor Jagodowski and Professor Rotolo. Well, I don't see him anymore, but oh yeah, he's over here.
I'm here. I'm in the car.
Oh, okay.
I had to move. Yeah.
Yes, they're actually 2 of my professors, and I'll be sharing my screen to start my reflection. So this is my STEM pre-teaching internship reflection. So why did I sign up for the internship? Well, first, I thought I had time for this internship. I was like, okay, maybe I should do it. And then when another reason was because I previously considered the teaching path at a younger age before getting into the electrical or technology field. And also because it was a learning experience and I'm always open for learning. And it was a good way to practice public speaking, which is something I really fear. And a bonus was that we could get paid while also learning and getting this experience. So what did I expect before beginning? I expected to plan lessons, so 1 or multiple times. I expected to experience the virtual teacher's perspective, since it's different from the perspective that the teacher will get before this pandemic, when they actually had to be in a classroom. and the high school students' behaviors, because I remember when I was in high school, some students were disrespectful to teachers, which was not the case. Which was not the case that I experienced. I don't know if it was because Professor Cherry is such a great teacher and she's just very nice to all the students and all the students behave, or we just got all the good students. So what did I learn through the observation? So I learned how to not be nervous or as nervous as for public speaking. I got better at that, definitely. For lesson planning, I learned how to plan a lesson, how to interact with the students from the teacher's perspective. And also I learned that how a teacher can have an impact on the students. So what inspired me? What inspired me was how the teachers can impact the students with the information that they provide and how they can change also their opinions or their lives. So what types of activities resonated with me? Every activity that we did actually was effective. We did Jamboards, which was something new to me, where all students could cooperate with the activity and add something to what we were doing, such as like the word search I did for the activators that we all had to do. So what I did on the activator was that I did a word search, but I didn't give them the topic. On the word search, all the words were different bacteria. So I just had the students look for the different words while thinking about what the topic was. And then once they figure out that those words were all bacteria, they could think that the topic was bacteria. And in case they didn't figure it out, I had 3 clues. So it was like a riddle. I made a little riddle for them to figure it out. So what was I most nervous for with the microteaching? I was nervous for the fact that I had to speak to multiple people, not just one at a time, because I previously experienced helping people like tutoring, but just as Lily said, just one people at a time. And this was multiple people. So what was the most challenging about microteaching? For me, it was getting nervous, because when I get nervous, I speak very fast or I just forget everything that I have to say. It was also the technical issues. That was also sometimes a challenge, but it was solved later on, so that was okay. And what was the most rewarding about microteaching? For me, it was to put something out there for students to learn and some information that would add up to their lives and maybe help them at some point. So how did I grow as a presenter from one microteach experience to the next? I grew from the advice that the teacher and the other interns gave me, such as to give students more wait time when asking questions so that they can process that and think of an answer. Because for example, when I did my mini lesson for the biomedical class, well, as Maureen mentioned, I did a lesson about strokes, because every 40 seconds in the US, someone has a stroke, and every 4 minutes, someone dies due to it. So I thought it was a very important topic to teach them what the symptoms were, how to prevent it, if it could be prevented, and what to do in case they experience it. And as Maureen also mentioned, I taught them the FAST acronym so that they could act accordingly to the situation. And I taught them at the end, I added the difference between a stroke and a seizure, because as Miss Cherry mentioned, and also at the beginning, they told me that they didn't know, they thought it was a seizure. So it was good for them to identify the difference, although they're actually very similar. And going back to these, observing the different classes also helped me grow. to see the different activities and strategies that other teachers used, and the self-reflections that we did in class. Finally, I would like to thank every student, every intern, their feedback, Miss Cherry for being such an amazing and supportive teacher, and also Rena for putting this program together. And this was my STEM free teaching internship reflection.
Great job, Danjati. Thank you all so much for sharing all of your experiences. If you all ever want to go into the teaching field and need someone to do a pre-practicum or your practicum with, I would welcome any and all of you back into my classroom or any of my colleagues' classrooms, because I think you all just did such an amazing, amazing job. So thank you all for your flexibility and your patience with our ever-changing schedule. So the greater population here might not know, the week that these ladies started, the week that our students came back into the building. So we went from completely teaching remotely to teaching in this weird hybrid setting, and our entire school schedule changed. So this entire schedule that they had been kind of relying on for our debrief sessions and teaching sessions all had to change. So I appreciate you all being so super flexible with me and that situation that we found ourselves in. So just to finish us off, let's move. So I would like to say a special thank you as well to Dr. Rena Randier for putting this program together, and Mr. Ron St. Amond for looping me into this, because I just think that this was a fantastic experience for everyone. I know the interns kept saying, you know, oh, we learned so much from you, but I learned so much from you all. And from putting this program together for the first time, I really think we hit a home run with this program, and I loved being able to share my love for teaching with you all, and learn from you, and learn specific content from you guys. So maybe I'll have you guys come back in to present again. So thank you. And thank you for everyone who is joining us as a guest today. Thank you for taking time out of your day to be here and celebrate with us. So thank you. That concludes our program. I'm also going to stop our recording. How to do that. Oh, there we go.
Jen, before you leave, thank you so much. And all the presentations were amazing. I really wish I was in your class, Jen, because nobody taught me the mouse party.
Oh, you have to play with mouse party. It's amazing.
Thank you for being amazing. Thank you, Ron. Bye.
Thank you, everybody. And coming from industry, passionate to be a teacher, I'm just so thankful for the students and the fact that they, everyone here that's a professor, our passion is our teaching, and, getting that aha moment through the students. So to have the students be put into a teaching opportunity, I think I can probably say for all the professors that are on this call, it's gratefully appreciative, and I think we're going to love this platform. So I was happy to see it and see the effect that you've had with the students. Jennifer and Ron, thank you so much with Rena for the opportunity.
Thank you. Have a great summer, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Goodbye, everyone.
Good job, everybody. Good job, everyone.
Yeah, good.
Bye.
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 Everybody.
Thanks. Have a great summer.
Thank you. You too.
Get out of here. You're done. You're on vacation.
I'm out.